Hey everyone, welcome back to Wicked Good Sports. I'm your host, Brian. It's been a minute. I was on vacation, traveling, having a lot of fun, but I'm back now. I'm ready to talk about sports. Got a jam-packed show for you. As always, it is April 2nd, 2025. And yeah, let's jump into it. First thing, I'm going to talk a little bit about the rules changes for the NFL, what passed, what didn't. Then Ryan's going to come on and talk to me about the Final Four. We'll do a little preview for that. And then Jack will join me for Around the Diamond, talking about the new bats the Yankees are using. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, each year, the NFL meetings happen and the owners discuss the rules, what they want to change. There's different proposals. So, the big one that I think everybody thinks about and everyone wants to hear about is, will the tush push get banned? So apparently it was a 16-16 split on whether or not the tush push will be banned. And there's no significant data on whether or not it causes significant injuries. So because of that, it did not pass. They did say that they will potentially talk about it more in the future, which, I think's fair and fine. We'll see how it plays out. But for 2025, you and I can feel safe about betting on Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, or even Josh Allen anytime touchdown, because they use it as well. And I think, that's fair that this got tabled. I don't think it should be banned entirely because some teams aren't even able to do it at all, whereas the Eagles are quite good at it. So, interesting fallout there. Another big one that did pass was the method for measuring first downs in the NFL will switch from a chain gang to a camera-based technology in 2025, and the traditional chain crew will remain on the sidelines in a secondary capacity. So, kind of what we've all always wanted was more technology integrated into the ability to spot the ball. I think this will be a good rule change, take the human element and the chance to make a mistake out of it. So I am on board with this one. They also passed a rule change that will allow teams to possess the ball in overtime during the regular season, but the period will remain just 10 minutes long. So to me, hearing that, it really makes me think like, all right, so the meta is going to shift from trying to score a touchdown to end the game to trying to hold the ball for as long as humanly possible and then either kick a field goal or score a touchdown, but leave your opponent with absolutely no time. Try to have a 10-minute drive to score. That, I think, is what will happen, will be the new meta. So I don't know necessarily if this will change things significantly for, people feeling like the overtime rules are unfair, but that one was very interesting. And another one that passed is the kickoff being on the 35 for a touchback now. So we've seen it go from the 20, 25, 30, and now 35. This is an attempt to get more dynamic kick returns out on the field, make it a play that isn't just like a boring kick and then someone fielding in the end zone or going right out of the end zone. I think this might actually work because a 65-yard field is not very far, and especially like where kickers are so good now, they might be able to score much easier. So this probably will add the kickoff back into it. And then finally, the Detroit Lions propose that you no longer get a first down if you do defensive holding, which is a 5-yard penalty. I agreed that this was probably a good call. Obviously, the Lions are the team that gets penalized the most for this, so they don't want it. But I do think it makes sense. Like 3rd and 20, 5-yard penalty, replay 3rd down, 3rd and 15, instead of 3rd and 20, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. But alas, it did not change. So disappointing outcome for the Lions there, and I think disappointing outcome in general. But those are the big ones for the rule changes. What do you think about all of them? Do you think any that passed shouldn't have? And do you think any that didn't pass should not have? Let me know in the comments. Hey everyone, welcome back to Where You Get Sports. This is Around the Diamond. We're joined by Jack Tiernan. Jack, how you doing?
Brian, doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Of
Today
course.
we are discussing, are the Yankees cheaters? Obviously that might be a biased way to present it, but you know what? We're Red Sox fans, so that's how it's going to be presented. Jack, how are the Yankees cheating? How are they getting away with it? What's happening here?
The Yankees are always cheaters, Brian. So that's a great preface, I think. But no, so what the Yankees are doing is basically trying this new style of bat, right? It's called the torpedo bat. I've seen bowling pin bat, like candle pin bat, whatever. And it's producing more barrel to ball contact and therefore a lot more home runs.
Yeah, so I did not know, and maybe this is bad on me, but I didn't know that all bats were not the same like size. Is that weird? Like, did you
It's
know this was a
yeah.
thing?
I know that there are like certain requirements on like diameter and weight that you need to meet within regulation, and that's at any like baseball league, right? You could be talking like Babe Ruth league in high school. You could be talking um, Major League Baseball, right? Minors even, right? They're experimenting with new stuff. So this is it's a little surprising that they were able to take it to like this level of dramatization and like say, okay, we're totally changing the shape and like I guess there's not parameters around like it's sort of like a loose interpretation of the rules basically, right? Like you're able to say, okay, sure, the meat of the bat, like maybe 3 or 4 inches from the end of the bat it was where most of the wood is going to be condensed, and then the end of it is thinner. So you might not get as much contact if you're just nubbing a slider away off, right? But I think at this point it's if you're trying to get like meat contact, right, as like based on or get like the ball on the meat of the bat, that's the you're gonna want to use this bat.
Yeah. So in 3 games, the Yankees have hit 15 home runs.
Yes,
Pretty good. They're averaging 12 runs a game so far.
not
Pretty
bad.
good. Um, is it any chance that the Brewers are just really bad and this is overblown?
For sure. Yeah, the Brewers could stink this year, frankly.
Mhm.
I think that's a big thing to look at. I think you look at how many of those players did hit home runs with that bat, maybe as a counter argument, and you think, okay, Aaron Judge isn't using that bat, but also does Aaron Judge need to use that bat? Like I think if it ain't broke for
No.
him, you know, so he hit 3 of that 15 mark. But then I think it was 9 of the 15 that have hit so far are from those type of bats, right? You've got guys like Jazz Chisholm, who's not a home run hitter. Um, Jazz Chisholm, Paul Goldschmidt, who is far past his prime, Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, like some guys who you'd be like, oh, okay, like he's just having a hot start. But I think there's some correlation here, right? Maybe not directly like, hey, 100% this is why this is happening, but like it's probably helpful, you know?
So we were talking before this. You're saying that an MIT guy invented this bat for the Yankees. Is that right?
Yeah, so he's a minor league, or he was a minor league hitting coordinator, and he's an MIT grad. I believe it's a physicist of some sorts. I don't want to give him the wrong title, so I'm not gonna really like throw shit at a wall here. But what I will say, it's physics, so physics professor. That's what it was. And he basically said like, I want to figure out this problem, and then basically increase the size of the barrel on their bat, because that was where like they did an analysis for all the players individually on where they were mostly making contact on like the end of the bat, and then based on that said you would be better off with a barrel like or the meat of the bat like right here. So they did that. They made some sort of like close to, I guess, I mean it's within league standards bat, right, and said, okay, now try this, and here are the results.
What do you think the ultimate outcome is going to be from this? Because, like, either every team is going to have this or it's going to get banned. What do you think is more likely?
I think we had a nice spirited debate in our group chat this morning. I think where so shout out Chris and Rhett especially, but I think when it comes to more runs, I think this is kind of the conclusion. Like if it comes to more runs and more bats on balls, I think the exciting aspect of the game and the nature of trying to increase the intensity and like excitement of baseball would probably be give everybody these bats. Like let's figure out what is the criteria, what is this. I think a counter argument that was made is like it's if only the Yankees can have it, why are only the Yankees using it, right? So like where are the other teams that are using it? Do they need an astrophysicist as well to come in and help build these bats? Like he's employed by the Yankees. Is he going to give up that design to somebody else? Or are they just going to try to, make their own? Like, I think at the end of the day, though, I would be surprised if this wasn't sort of sensationalized throughout the league, similar to the axe handle bats. Again, Rhett brought this up earlier, but the axe handle bats, it kind of were the biggest thing in like 2017, 2018, like Mookie Betts used one on the Red Sox, for example. So it could be a sensationalized thing. They may do some testing and say, hey, there's actually nothing here. Like, it's just the Yankees got kind of lucky. But I think I would be surprised if it wasn't allowed. And then maybe down the line, if it was proven it does or doesn't work, then you'll probably see it either fade out or completely take off.
Yeah, they're going to have to make a whole major at MIT now of baseball bat designers.
Wood density and location of barrel of bat. Yeah, it's going to be, it might get intense.
Definitely will. So sorry, science that actually matters, but these MIT graduates are on to bigger and better things.
Listen, money talks, Brian. So if that's where the money's at, they're going to do this stuff. That's fine, right? Figure out the density, figure out the location. Let's do some exit velo stats and numbers and all that. But I haven't looked at it like too deep, obviously, but if I'm looking at the bat just like organically, it looks like I would guess that you're hitting a lot of better oppo field contacts just based on how the bat, instead of the traditional, like it's the same thickness throughout, you've kind of got like the boom, boom. And then if you're hitting it with the end of the bat, that oppo is kind of pushing it either maybe more foul also, depending on like, I don't know. The small sample size, right? I think too soon to tell, but it's intriguing to look at and think about the possibilities that have come from this.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to wait and see. Obviously, it's only 3 games. Can't really make like a huge sample size out of that or draw any big conclusions, but so far, so good for the Yankees.
It's sensational. So let's see if this is sensationalization or if this is like just, they're onto something here.
Yeah. So anything else from the first real weekend of baseball that you wanted to talk about?
Some interesting stuff out there. White Sox are above 500. That's a shout out to them. They are on pace to win more games than they did times like 5 last year. So progress.
That's huge.
That's huge. Yeah. I don't know. I think again, too soon to tell. Are the Brewers just really bad? Or the White Sox actually good? White Sox, for you betting folks out there, were plus 22,000 to win the NL Central, I believe it was. So,
oh boy.
That's going to be
something.
I think if you are a man of like, let's throw some money on something and see what happens, that might be something to throw your money on.
Yeah. And your next move should probably be calling the number at the bottom of the screen on those commercials.
Agreed.
If you're betting on the White Sox.
Agreed, for sure. Especially to win games. That's a problem.
No, that's no good at all. Red Sox 1-4.
Not good.
Not the start we were looking for.
Looking more like the White Sox, I think.
Yeah.
It's some really rough numbers for Raffy Devers out there right now too. I think it's 15 strikeouts he's up to in like 19 at bats. So,
Jesus Christ.
A couple of good walks though. Like, great job, Raffy.
Yep,
but some promising stuff. Yeah, promising stuff from Willie Abreu and Christian Campbell, which has been nice to see. Alex Bregman face planted earlier today, also at the time of recording. So
great.
Very telling of how the first 5 games have gone so far. It's not really cohesive. Let's give it some time. I think we'll be fine. But I'm more excited about our prospect pool. I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, Jack. Where can they find you online?
Best place to find me is on Twitter or X, and that's at Jack_Tiernan. So follow me there. You can also listen to some of our other shows, like At the Buzzer. So here on Wicked Good Sports, myself, Brian, and Ryan will also do some recordings on basketball, the ongoings in the NBA. And as we're getting into the playoffs, especially exciting times.
Almost here.
For sure. You can follow me.
More games.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting nonstop about that stuff, especially as we get closer.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. We got a game in 14 minutes from the time of recording, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Thank you, everyone, so much for checking out this segment. If you're watching just the clipped out video, really appreciate it. Check out the rest of our videos. If you're listening to the podcast, gonna go to the next segment. Hey, everyone, welcome back to At the Buzzer. I'm joined by Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
Ryan, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Thriving in the madness,
Yeah. So we're here to talk about the Final Four, but we can also talk about, the big storylines of the tournament. we haven't talked since before it started. Obviously, it goes pretty quick, but we've been a little busy. I guess what's the biggest storyline of this tournament, and was it a good one so far?
I think it's all perspective, right? So I think the biggest storyline has to probably be Duke, just because they've been so dominant, right? And then you're right, they have Cooper Flag. Then they have what's his name, Canupa, and then I think Malik, the center. I mean, they're just very, very good. And they crush Alabama by over 20 points in the Elite Eight. I think otherwise, I mean, there was for sure some first round upsets, but I wouldn't say this was as unpredictable of a tournament as like before. In the Elite Eight, the biggest underdog, I guess, was Ole Miss, which was a 6 seed. Overall, I mean, I think it's been a good tournament. There's been some really good games. Some other storylines, have been Florida and their best player, like Walter Clayton Jr., making some incredible shots. It was a great game. I think, was it watching them against? Yeah, it was against Ole Miss. I don't know. Anyways, it was a great game. Watching Florida advance. I think they were down by 10 with a couple minutes left. Came back. Really, really good game. And then right after that, you had Alabama. Again, you had Alabama and Duke. I guess the other big storyline would be all number one seeds in the Final Four. You could look that up. When was the last time that's happened?
I think this is the second time ever. Let's look it up.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And the biggest storyline for my bracket was I was doing horrible at first. Now I'm in a pretty good position to win because I did have all one seeds in the Final Four.
That's big. So first time since 2008 that all number one seeds will make the Final Four. Let's see what else is there. Anything else? Nothing that interesting. Both times it happened, they played the Final Four at San Antonio, Texas. I don't know. That's just kind of a random fun fact, I guess.
Yeah, definitely a fun fact. But anyway, so I think it is like notable in the sense that this year for me, what really stood out was that the difference between the one seeds this year, and that's why ultimately, obviously you're just throwing shit on the wall. But like when when you really look at the teams, the one seeds looked so much stronger than everyone else, right? Duke especially, and then also like Florida, Auburn, really good. And to mention Houston, I mean, Houston is always like incredibly, I think I talked about this in our last one, incredibly dominant in the regular season, and they've really held up. I mean, they destroyed Tennessee, embarrassed them at the beginning of that game. So I think that's another storyline too, is just like, the cream of the crop is just kind of like light years ahead of everyone else. Even the two seeds, I mean, Alabama and Michigan State, when they're on, but yeah, it's just like, it's not that surprising that these are the four teams in the Final Four. Obviously, I mean, they're one seeds, but
yeah. Now, I'm sure a lot of people who maybe don't know that much about college basketball, but got, in on the brackets at their office, are now walking away with the money because they're just like, I'll just pick the best teams.
I know. And that's like when I was doing it, I was like, man, this looks so stupid. Why am I doing this? And
but is it stupid? Because it's only happened one other time. So is it kind of bold to pick all 4 1 seeds?
Well, and again, if you just like there were some narrow matchups, right? Like there were some ones, it's like, yeah, you could see where like Auburn was going to have a little trouble against, like, for instance, like then they ended up really coming back strong. But like there's a couple, but it was very hard to see a lot of these teams getting upset. They've just been really good. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who wins. Again, who knows? Houston is really good, but it does really feel like Duke's year. I think, at that point, that would be the big shockers if they lose. To be honest,
So with that said, between Duke and Houston, you're going to be taking Duke.
yeah, I think you got to. I mean, Houston is really tough, and they have the size and the physicality to match Duke. I think, but I mean, Duke is just huge, and they're just so incredibly good both ways. Um,
Mhm.
I think eventually they're going to be able to penetrate through Houston, and I don't think Houston's going to be used to. They were able to just kind of back Tennessee down. Duke, I don't. Duke is also a really good defense. I just don't think they're going to back down. I think they're going to be thrown off a little bit, but again, I think it's going to be actually a really close game. It's probably going to be. I got to think it might be Duke's hardest game yet because I really wasn't sure if Alabama. I mean, I think like I really enjoy watching Alabama, but the way they play, unless they could get really hot like they had in their previous game, I mean, I just thought there was a good chance Duke was going to be able to shut them down. Because they like were near the basket and they just don't have anyone that can really score effectively against Duke right now. So it might be a really close game, but yeah, I gotta go Duke.
All right. And how do you feel between Auburn and Florida?
That's
Two
where
SEC teams. This feels like it should be football, but
a
it's
football.
basketball.
Yeah. Hey, Charles Barkley played for Auburn, man, and
That's true. That's true.
no, but I that is a tough. So that's a tougher one. So I will say I think that Auburn probably matches up a little better against Duke potentially. Um, Florida, they are more well rounded, but they are kind of more similar to an Alabama team, where it's like this run and gun team, and they're smaller. Like I'd really have to look at the sizes, but I don't see it matching up that well. I think they would have. I don't know that they. I think they would have a tough time against Duke. Auburn, I think, would stand a better chance. I think Auburn and Duke has more of a rivalry as well. I believe. That being said, I picked Auburn. I probably lean Auburn, but it's like really close. It's like 52, 48%, I really think this one could go either way. And it's just, again, Florida's been really good about they can come back. So like I just wouldn't count them out. And I thought that a little bit with Michigan State. Not thinking they were gonna win, but thinking they were gonna keep in it. I think they ended up losing by like 6 or something. Florida, it's more so you know, again, Auburn might get it, but yeah, it's gonna be a really really good game. Going to be two incredible Final Four matchups. I mean, again, I'm not like there's nothing like crazy I'm saying here. These are 4-1 seeds. Obviously, they're going to be very good matchups.
Right. And then I guess, do you want to give a winner pick? I mean, it seems like Duke's your winner pick, but do you want to officially throw down the gauntlet?
I'm gonna go Houston. No, even though I didn't pick odd. No, I'm gonna go Duke. Yeah, it's just felt like it. I mean, they just again the closest game they've had was, 7 with Arizona. Anything can happen. Would I be shocked if like some? I mean, again, like I said, it's 4-1 seats. Any of these teams could win. I'm pretty confident about Duke. I think Houston's potentially their toughest matchup, for sure. So, just in the sense, I think they're not used to it as much, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely, yeah, I think it's gonna be Duke. It feels like their year, and I
All
think
right.
it seems like with Cooper Flex, seems like he's kind of crazy enough where like if he loses, like he would maybe actually not go to the NBA draft, and there's just no way that's happening. No, I don't I mean, but he does kind of, right? You do kind of get that vibe, like this dude would be dead, and you don't really ever see that kind of bind from a freshman these days. Um, it really feels like if they lose, he's going to be like devastated.
Right.
So yeah, I gotta. I mean, I gotta go Duke. They've just been light years ahead of everyone. It's very similar to UConn last year, but yeah, they've just been really good. And again, I really love Alabama. It was still a good game, but it got tough to watch at the end. I mean, um, they were just absolutely denying them at the rim.
Right. Yeah. I think that makes sense. I saw an interview recently with Cooper Flag was talking about how cool it'd be to play for the Celtics. I agree, Cooper. Do what you got to do. Stay in school if you have to. Whatever you got to do to come to the Celtics.
Oh, he's gonna do somehow they're gonna pull like what the Larry that's the Larry Bird like the
Yeah, they drafted without him coming
yeah,
out.
yeah. No, the Celtics are never gonna be able to touch Cooper Flag.
No way. But it was like one of those things where I was like, ooh, imagine if.
Yeah, it's just weird ones. Like any young player like that, like it was even like someone was like, what do you guys think about Stephon? If you know Stephon Castle, he's on UConn last year, and now he's like the second best player on the. He's not the second best player right now, but he could be very good on the Spurs. And someone's just like, what do you think about Stephon Castle with the Celtics? And it's like, what?
That would be great.
World?
Yeah,
sure. Here you go, Celtics. I'll take. In what world do you just get like an incredible rookie player that with unbounded potential?
Yeah, no, it's funny. People are pretty ridiculous like that.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure because he's from the area.
Yeah, that's why he was being asked.
We could draft his brother Ace Flag. He's going to UMaine next year.
That's a good point.
They're twins.
Really? That's so weird.
They're twins, and maybe Ace is an inch shorter. But it's not like. But they're very, very similar. It's kind of curious as to why, because you see, obviously, like with twins, sometimes one can be slightly better. They can have but you look at like the Murray twins. Keegan Murray's better, but they're almost identical players. They look identical. The Thompson twins, Eamon Thompson, obviously like a bit of the more well-rounded player, and now he's really had a breakthrough season. But very similar types of players. Ace and Cooper, it seems like both forwards. I don't really know much about Ace's game, to be honest, but I would assume, right, maybe somewhat similar styles of stars. Obviously, Cooper's really, really fucking good. It's just curious that there's that big of a differential where one is literally like being touted. He'd be considered like the biggest prospect probably since like Zion, maybe, if it wasn't for Wemby just having come around, right? And then his brother, and he advances a year so he can go a year early, and he's this good on Duke, and then his brother signs with UMaine. So it's very curious, but
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
No, I mean it was a great tournament. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, where can they find you online?
Online, you can find me on here. Definitely do other podcasts. In theory, hopefully, we might be doing some baseball ones at some point. But I know should be doing it probably. Hopefully, do an NBA one soon. Check that stuff out if you like the NBA. That's all I got, Bri.
All right. So, other than that, if you're listening as a segment, check out our other videos. If you're listening in the full episode podcast, I guess just keep on listening. And Ryan, thank you so much for your time.
Brian, pleasure as always.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Wicked Good Sports. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe. We also have the main channel, Wicked Good Everything, as well as our podcasting channel, Better Radio, and our Those Fake Nerds channel, which is kind of similar to this channel, but covering nerdy news, movies, video games, all that kind of stuff instead of sports. So if you like me, you like hearing me talk about random stuff, please check it out. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this episode, and I will see you in the next one.